I don't want to downplay the challenges that come with the recession.
Totally.
Like, there are things that in that time, like you're probably going to get what I call a wild card, where something's going to happen that's not going to be great, or you're going to get news of something, or a friend or family member might be affected or lose their job. Like, there are challenges in that time. But I just really highlights to me the importance of recognizing what good outcomes can come from you. Like, it doesn't have to be your losing season. It doesn't have to be the thing that destroys your business. Like, there is ability to make moves and do things if you were to focus on the activities we're suggesting in this episode.
And it comes down to the perspective of it as well. And we've spoken a bit about sort of how you perceive these situations, because it's a lot easier to compress and to say, oh, weather the storm versus like, where do the opportunities sit?
It's a completely different mindset.
Totally. Like, how do you do the opposite to what people are currently doing? Like, how does everyone around me say, it's tough, running business is crazy, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, so what are the opportunities? How am I going to play this better?
Is your knee-jerk reaction, though, not bunker down?
Totally. This was why it was interesting in the conversation that we've had around like traders and how they have to fight that initial knee-jerk reaction. Because I have situations that happen and I will immediately have a knee-jerk reaction, and then it just takes me a minute to go, all right, cool. Now that's out of my system, how am I going to play this? Like, what is the better solution? Because I don't think I can completely avoid the knee-jerk reaction. I think I just have to accept the knee-jerk reaction, not react to it, meaning like don't burn the boats in that second. I just go, cool. Now what's next? How do I play this? Do I compress? Do I expand? Do I look for opportunities? Do I jump into another opportunity? Like, what am I doing here? But I just think it's very difficult, even for myself, to not respond with a knee-jerk reaction initially. But then I would never really make a decision on it.
I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit, although I don't feel like it's that far a stretch, to be honest. It's like, let's say you hear all this conversation about recession, you see the news of it, it's an official one from there, and then the knee-jerk reaction is, ooh, bunker down, which just means conserve, stop spending, cut costs, play defense. Right? And you look around you at every other business owner and they're doing the same thing. That then justifies your behavior.
Totally.
You feel validated. This is what everyone else is doing, so this must be the safe way to play it. But it actually causes the recession for you.
Are you bunkering down, Charlie?
Not at all. But the point I make is, like, I could totally see at what do they call it, a group level or group think level, is like, if, everyone around me is now bunkering down, I better do the same.
Yes,
so the perceived, the perceived safety in that, where if you look at what we're suggesting in this episode, if everyone around you was thinking like this, that would normalize the result. I just feel like it's so uncommon. And to your point earlier about it's like not knowing what to do with the scraps in the cookie analogy, where if you knew these things and going, hang on, well, like there's moves to make here, maybe you would look around and go, well, everyone's already started to bunker down. This is my time to reach out to them and do JVs. This is my time to potentially steal their stuff.
But you know what's funny? As you're putting the scraps away, whilst times are good, knowing that you're going to use those scraps because you look after them a lot more, right? I'm putting them in the fridge. I'm making sure like they're a decent enough bit of a scrap for me to put into a good meal that people want to pay for, as opposed to going, oh wait, let's rummage through the bin and try and find the scraps. To
I
put
hear
into the
fish
meal.
eyes are delicious.
Fish eyes are great.
It's like a delicacy in some places, but anyway.
The other thing that, and for anyone listening to this, I do want to say though, like it can be hard to find those pockets of people, Charlie. Like it's like, how do you find those people that are bucking the trend of, well, everyone around me is now compressing and I want to be the tall poppy. I want to step out and just be like, hey, let's do this. Like, feel free to reach out to us. Jump in the Facebook group, the Full Stack Business Owner Facebook group, because I think it's just having those conversations that help you open the eyes to actually going, oh, there is a better way for this, or how are you playing this? Ask Charlie and myself, like, how are you playing this? How are you thinking about this? What is your approach to it? But you had this great point that I would love to finish on around the whole concept of long-term thinking, because I think it wraps up everything so perfectly with a bow.
Yeah. One of my mentors had suggested the idea that the shorter you're thinking it is, the harder it is actually to be successful, and the longer term you think, the better you can do overall. And I've been very challenged by that many times because I am thinking long term. And then it's like, no, you're actually thinking in like years. And he's like, I'm thinking decades. I'm like, all right, like there's levels up to this. So the tendency of people is they think the environment they're in is going to last forever. So people that are in the boom time think that a recession will never happen, and then when it happens, it throws them. But when the recession comes, is they play the recession, not what comes after the recession. So the mentality of when a recession would hit is survive the recession. This is how I'm going to play in the recession, where his view was like, well, what if your thinking in a recession is it's all about stacking the deck for the next boom?
Yep.
And what if in the boom, it's all about stacking the deck for the recession? And it comes down to this idea and concept I know you love about counter-cyclical thinking and long-term thinking, which is which is a really, really interesting concept. So in the idea that in the boom times, you're the one behaving in a way that will have you take away advantage of the recession is longer-term thinking than someone who's just playing the current environment. So I think that longer-term view and having the ability to ride through different environments and be the vulture, right? Be in a position to capitalize on that. Like, I'll throw that in.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, is the concept to think about, because the people that are thinking like 10-year game plans, 20-year game plans, ultimately tend to do better off overall. Like, I can't remember that study, right? But it's like the whole idea is that most of the billionaires had a vision that exceeded a duration of time. So you look at like Bezos, Musk, even Zuckerberg and all the rest, is like their vision and thesis of what they were doing was so far past like this short-term thinking.
Hey, fellow business owner, if this topic and value-packed short video has resonated with you at all, and you want to dive deeper into being a full stack business owner, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now.